I've had numerous friends who are, gold medalists, like athletes, top athletes in the world. And so you're the fix it guy. Like, well, you don't understand. I've been searching for you. I have a injury, L5 back, L5S1, and I want to talk about all things stem cells.
And I think what you were saying earlier too is that, a lot of people, I think, like whether it was, Kardashians or Zac Efron, whoever, like a lot of them ended up with me because, and a lot of these top pro athletes I treat as well, a lot of them end up seeing me because they wanted to have someone that they could trust in the sense. And I think stem cells, unfortunately, have lost a lot of credibility. And there's just a lot of scammy clinics, let's just say, that a lot of marketing and a lot of false hope almost, and not really educating the public. And that's where I really started educating people on the fact that, most stem cell clinics that are offering stem cells, 95% of them die in the body. Most of them get trapped in the lungs when you do them intravenously, like 99%. So they're not really doing that much. And that's why I was the first doctor in the world to really talk about MUSE stem cells, MUSE, which is the one that was discovered in Japan in 2010. So it's not a new discovery, but I was just the first one to really bring it to, let's say, the world outside of Japan and work with that scientist to really educate the public that these MUSE stem cells, they're what's called stress enduring, meaning they can survive, so they don't die as easily, and they can turn into any cell in your body, so they can actually regenerate and repair tissue. They were the best we had until MUSE cells came along, and MUSE cells were discovered in 2010, and kind of this big
new cells.
MUSE, MUSE.
MUSE.
Yeah, MUSE, as in
cool.
Muse. So it's a long acronym, but basically they're these stress enduring cells. That's what SE stands for. So the stress enduring, meaning they can survive in harsh environments and they don't die as easily as regular mesenchymal stem cells. So that was really the big breakthrough, and I was kind of the first doctor, I guess, outside of Japan to really start using them and talking about them and educating the public about it. I like to say, let's say that they're kind of like the Hermes or something of the stem cell world. They're like the highest end stem cells you can imagine in your body. They're the super soldiers that fix things when things go wrong. But there's only so many of them. There is research, more and more research coming out showing that these not just MUSE stem cells, but what are called pluripotent stem cells. Pluripotent just means a cell that can turn into any cell in your body. That pluripotent stem cells are kind of the fountain of youth. But and MUSE cells happen to be the safest and one of the most effective type of pluripotent stem cells. And essentially, you can infuse them in your body every couple months if you really wanted to, and you can slow down the aging process dramatically.